From what I've seen today, AI art beats meat art in just about every way. It is presented with no ulterior motive. AI has no hidden agenda. There's no hysterical, weeping crayon pusher desperately hoping you'll buy a t-shirt with their shit tree printed on it. It is simply presented for the viewer to enjoy, and it is prompted by people who just want to create something their primate limbs simply cannot create using coloured sticks, no matter how hard they try. Meat art is stale, achingly try-hard, and if I see another badly scribbled rabbit wearing dungarees, I'm going to scream. Long live our fantastically fresh and inventive AI overlords. If AI can convince just one artist to get a proper job, it will have all been worth it. A couple of weeks ago now, I saw a tweet. That's how all good stories start, right? With a tweet. It was a simple, entirely wordless exchange. An artist posted a little sketch of Spider-Man giving the thumbs up, and in response, an account named Rupert Rat posted this image, with the only caption being, "Sometimes a piece of art just speaks to you. You know, the composition, the colours, the arrangement, they can be so monumentally terrible that they're really profound in an almost scary way." If you can't tell what you're looking at, this is some kind of AI-generated artwork of Spider-Man, and obviously, it looks like shit. The only reason it showed up on my timeline is because people were rightfully tearing it to shreds. The mismatched colour patterns, the weirdly detailed leather creases, the fact that the spider logo only has 7 legs, it was well due a good thrashing. But the art itself is not why this exchange has stuck with me. What completes the piece is the caption. It says nothing, and yet it says so much. The level of confidence needed to post this image in response to a real artist, like it's some kind of own against them, it's bizarre, and I needed to know more, so I clicked on their profile. Turns out this was not their only post. They're quite a prolific poster, and they often use that face as a little signature flourish. If you're wondering what the hell you're looking at, they describe this as photo and 3D fetish art, so enjoy! The important tweet is the follow-up to the Spider-Man tweet. They deleted it? Why? It wasn't that incriminating. Whatever, I copy-pasted it into my script anyway, so I'll just improvise. What an interesting few days, smiling with hearts emoji. The numbers that picture is generating are insane. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I posted a picture with Spider-Man as a comment on a drawn Spider-Man. Oh boy, did that blow up in my face, laughing till crying emoji. It's quite fascinating to me to see what a human will say to another human when they sit alone behind their phones or computers. The hate, the loathing, the ridicule, smiling with hearts emoji. But the numbers do not lie. This is by far the best way to make passive ad revenues, so while they're making fun of my work, I'll be giggling all the way to the bank, laughing till crying emoji. It's absolutely pouring down outside right now. It's the middle of a thunderstorm, but this is the only time I had to record, so if that's picking up on the microphone, sorry. AI image generation and AI technology in general has dominated the conversation for the past few months. Every major corporation from Microsoft to Spotify is going all in on AI integration. There are upsides and downsides to the push towards this technology, which better YouTubers than I have explored, so I'll just link their videos to it instead. Now, for this video, I want to focus on a very specific issue. The subculture that has arisen around and is aggressively pushing AI art. For the past few weeks now, I've been observing these groups, joining their Discords, reading their Reddit posts and Reddit debates, because I wanted to understand my good friend Rupert Rat and their strange Spider-Man post. Because it's one thing to like this art, to think it looks interesting, or to admire the technology that goes into creating it. But from Ripper and from other snippets of this group I've seen, I felt there was something else going on. Something darker. Something I wanted to discover. What I found, roughly, is two groups with a lot of overlap. Grifters and, I don't really have a good name for them. Techno-futurists? People who believe strongly that this technology is the future, that someday, probably soon, this technology will completely replace traditional artwork. We'll get to it. But let's start in the shallow end. Let's talk about grifters.
I'm going to show you how you can generate insane amounts of money with AI generated art. Guys, I cannot believe it, but the future is here, and now we can use this AI technology to create unique, high quality and copyright free images that we can make loads of money from.
With any new technology, no matter what it is, there's always someone, or many someones in the room who ask, yeah, but how do I make money with this? And in this instance, it's very easy to imagine ways to make money off of a program that generates images based off of text prompts. If you look it up on YouTube, you will find tons of tutorials, all giving roughly the same advice. Look at the search data on various online selling platforms like Etsy, find a niche, generate art for that niche, and enjoy that sweet, sweet passive income. How they stretch that out to 15 minutes boggles the mind, frankly, but that's the gist of it. Some will go a little bit more advanced and suggest offering AI art commission services where you can get people to pay you for generating AI art for them. If you have any business sense at all, you may be seeing a few flaws in this business model, but let's stick to the people for a minute. This type of grift has attracted a lot of flack and worry from actual commission artists because it represents a risk to their business. For obvious reasons, AI art is significantly easier and faster to produce than drawing or painting something yourself. And there's the bigger concern of copyright. After all, these AI image generators don't create this stuff from nothing. If you ask one to, for example, generate a painting in the style of Pablo Picasso, then it does that by using images of all of Pablo Picasso's paintings and blending them and morphing them algorithmically to create a new piece. That's a vast oversimplification. We'll get deeper into it later. Now, that's mostly fine when we're talking about Pablo Picasso, a man who died 50 years ago, but it becomes a lot more complicated when you're talking about an actual modern-day artist who's currently working. There's been countless examples of someone taking all of an artist's work, running it through an AI generator, and trying to create new images in that artist's style with it, which, for obvious reasons, the original artists aren't happy about. The big tools like Stable Diffusion have used basically every publicly available image on the internet as part of their training, most of which was under copyright protection, which is why they're currently being sued by a collection of independent artists, and the result of that trial, win or lose, will have massive repercussions on the future of this technology. While that's still to be legally decided, however, there are a couple of arguments that AI artists will use to justify why this should be okay. The first argument is that all artists learn this way. They look at other people's work and adapt it into their own work. The AI is just doing a digital version of the same process.
AI does learn from data sets of artwork out there, but it's not like it's straight up copying and pasting and making a collage out of those artworks. It's more like how a human artist would take inspiration from a piece of art and then use some elements from it to create their own.
The second argument is the argument that you can't actually own an art style. You can own the art, yes, but you can commission an artist to draw something in the style of another artist, and that's legally fine. Here's the thing. These arguments are valid, and they're certainly worth discussing. But these are the people making that argument. These are the grifters, and they don't care if it's ethical, legal, or has any artistic value whatsoever. They just want to make money. And that's why grifters are boring. They don't have any skin in the game. AI means nothing to them beyond its ability to generate SEO. In a couple of months, they'll all move on to the next buzzword, just like they all moved on from NFTs last year when that market crumbled. And this market they're pitching will crumble because, like most of these online grift tutorials, the market is completely unsustainable. If your first time hearing about a money-making scheme like this is a YouTube video, then I'm sorry, mate. You aren't the producer, you're the product. This hustle, generate art, sell it on Etsy, it only works if you're one of the only people doing it. This is basic marketing stuff. You need a USP, a unique selling point. For a traditional artist, that's easy. Your art style is your USP. People commission a piece from you because they like your style. With the AI generated art, the USP is theoretically that it's AI generated. It's a novel concept, or it was 2 months ago, but the problem is obvious, right? AI art is extremely easy to make and produce. The market is already hilariously oversaturated. Let's search AI art on Etsy right now, shall we? Oh, it's just over 220,000 results. Good luck finding your niche in there, guys. Anything that's easy to produce will result in massive amounts of spam, because with this sort of thing, it's quantity over quality. You may only make 10 sales for every 1,000 images uploaded, but because it's so easy to make and upload these images, you're still making money. Not a lot of money, but money nonetheless. Business-wise, this is basically exactly the same as taking a bunch of art off of Google Images and uploading it to Redbubble with about the same amount of effort and the same rewards. It's just that unlike art theft, there are a couple plausible fair use arguments you can hide behind when the heat turns on. But that's all trivial now anyway. The market is way too oversaturated to make any real money with this strategy, and any claim that you could be making $300 a day doing this is obvious bullshit. So why are they saying it? Every grift has phases. Phase 1 is the grift itself, and then the advanced stage, Phase 2, is selling the idea of the grift. The person who makes a YouTube tutorial telling you how to do this doesn't actually care about you making money. They care about making themselves money. Your greed-driven clicks are generating their passive income. And when you go to try it yourself, hey, they just happen to have an affiliate link with the platform that prints this stuff out for you. Isn't that convenient?
What we can do is upload our designs onto these products, and then a company such as Printful.com will actually print out these products and send them to our customers on demand every time someone places an order. You can actually sign up for a free Printful account using my referral link in the description down below.
This is all pretty basic stuff, right? I mean, a grift's a grift's a grift. The context changes, but the details are always the same. This is clearly my good friend Rupert Ratsgame, spamming Twitter with daily Nick Jonas Leather Daddy content and talking about passive income. But there's more here, isn't there? A quiet part that I haven't said out loud yet. A reason that not only the grifters, but that all artists should be worried. A question you've probably been thinking about this entire time. Why would someone pay for this when they can get it for free? Grifters are for sure a part of this movement, but they are a temporary ally to the movement at best. The people you see on the Discords and the Reddit threads are the true believers, and they represent a movement much scarier than people trying to make a quick buck. The people who really care, they aren't actually in it for the money. Money is a factor, but it's not the be-all and end-all. These people don't just see AI art as a way to make money. They see it as the future, as an entirely new medium of entertainment. The beginning of a revolution that will be to the entertainment industry what cars were to the horse industry. It won't just dominate the market, it will completely replace the market. The very notion of human art will become noteworthy, a little novelty that people don't think much of. The equivalent of an artisanal handcrafted plate versus the hundreds of factory-made plates that we all actually use. You will never have to browse through Netflix again. You will simply turn on the AI and it will generate the perfect content just for you. A completely unique and personalised form of entertainment that will keep your attention perfectly because it was custom tailored to your interests via an advanced algorithm. I find this prospective future deeply horrifying on a really existential level because I can so vividly imagine it. Algorithms already drive so much of what we watch, what we buy, what we see. Of course, the next logical step is for them to just start making the stuff themselves. It's a world where art is completely meaningless beyond its ability to entertain you. The craft is meaningless. The artist is irrelevant. What possible use could I be in that world? What good is a media critic when all the media is custom tailored, where there is no shared experience because everything is individual to you alone? It'd be like analysing your own dreams. No one cares. They've got their own. It's not that I'm worried about losing my career as a YouTuber. As of right now, I don't have a career as a YouTuber. I make these videos because I like doing it. I like talking about games and movies and TV shows. I like thinking about how they work, how they were made, how they made me feel, how they made other people feel, why we feel differently about it. In some ways, my time talking about art is more valuable to me than the art itself. A common complaint of the big blockbuster franchises these days, like the MCU or Star Wars, is that they're just products with no real artistic value. But that complaint just seems so laughable to me now, in the face of this. Let's pause for a minute here. It's very easy to get into doom spiral thinking about this stuff. Trust me, it happened a bunch when I was writing this video. Things are changing, and very quickly, but we're not submitting to the AI overlords quite yet. The AI-generated future of entertainment might seem possible, but it relies on a couple of fundamental misunderstandings of how this technology actually works. Fundamentally, in order to create something, you need to be able to be creative. Picture in your head an AI, an artificial intelligence. Thanks to years of sci-fi media, you're probably picturing something like Mr. Data from Star Trek. A synthetic being, unfathomably intelligent, but still clearly a person. He makes his own decisions and has thoughts. This is not what we've been talking about. None of this, from the image generators to ChatGPT, are artificial intelligence in the way we commonly understand it. Something like Data is what they call an AGI, an artificial general intelligence. The key distinction there being self-awareness, sentience, like thinks and shit, you get it. The AI we've been talking about is not sentient, nor is it at any risk of becoming sentient. That shouldn't be a controversial thing to say, but for a wide variety of reasons it is. In fact, you may have heard that several tech industry giants like Elon Musk and Steve Wozniak signed an open letter to these places telling them to stop developing their AI because they're basically on the cusp of becoming sentient and destroying the planet, and we really should have safety precautions in place before that happens. Far be it from me to suggest that Elon Musk might be wrong about something, but let me give you an overview of how this technology actually works, and then we can establish why people think it's alive. Chat systems like ChatGPT and art generators like Midjourney might seem different, but fundamentally they work on the same principles. They are systems that match symbols to other symbols. Now, a symbol in the context of a chatbot is words. In the context of an art generator, it's collections of pixels. That's why the tech term for this is tokens. Tokens can be basically anything. When you type in a message to ChatGPT, it digs through all of its data and using a predictive algorithm generates a response that corresponds to the message that you typed. Likewise, when you typed a prompt in Stable Diffusion, it's generating an image that it's been told correlates to the words that you typed. But that correlation between words and tokens does not translate to understanding. The algorithm doesn't understand why this is an eye. It just has a dataset of 100,000 pictures of eyes that it's been trained to recognize as eyes. The larger and larger you make the dataset, the better chance the algorithm has of generating a photorealistic eye. But it didn't make any decisions about that. This isn't Data painting his cat, where he's thinking about the brushstrokes, deliberately copying the styles of different artists. It's a system that you feed variables into. On one side, millions of images it's been told correlate to specific sequences of letters, and on the other side, a sequence of letters input by the user, and with these variables, it generates a new thing. There's a fun example to demonstrate that the AI doesn't actually understand what you're asking. Ask the AI to generate something simple, something with a lot of images in the database, and it can do it quite well. Like, for instance, a fork on top of a plate, a very common picture you may see on the internet from any food blogger on Instagram. Now, ask it to do the opposite, a plate on top of a fork. You and I can both clearly envision that. It's not a common thing to see, but it's easy to imagine and easy to replicate. But the AI will keep generating images of forks on top of plates, because there aren't many images of plates on top of forks in its dataset. It doesn't understand the concept of a plate on top of forks. It doesn't understand what plates or forks are or what their relationship is. It doesn't understand anything. It's just an algorithm matching symbols to pixels. So if that's true, if they are just algorithms matching symbols to pixels, why do people think they're alive? Because we're dumb humans with monkey brains, that's why. These programs have no sentience, but they've been programmed to talk in a way that's very conversational, in a way that we've only ever previously understood as a human form of communication. Same for the art. We've never seen art that wasn't made by a human before, so when we see these things, we just assume that something on our level of our intelligence must have made them. On the Dangers of Stochastic Parrots is a paper authored in 2021 by 4 experts in AI research talking about the dangers and limitations of this technology. In an especially pivotal paragraph, they write, "Text generated by an LM is not grounded in communicative intent, any model of the world, or any model of the reader's state of mind. It can't have been, because the training data never included sharing thoughts with the listener, nor does the machine have the ability to do that. That can seem counterintuitive given the increasingly fluent qualities of automatically generated text, but we have to account for the fact that our perception of natural language text, regardless of how it was generated, is mediated by our own linguistic competence and our predisposition to interpret communicative acts as conveying coherent meaning and intent, whether or not they do. The problem is, if one side of the communication does not have meaning, then the comprehension of implicit meaning is an illusion arising from our singular human understanding of language. Contrary to how it may seem when we observe its output, an LM is a system for haphazardly stitching together sequences of linguistic forms it has observed in its vast training data, according to probabilistic information about how they combine, but without any reference to meaning. A stochastic parrot. The words ChatGPT types, it didn't think them, it generated them based on what makes the most sense based on what it was told to type next. It has no meaning beyond the meaning that we give it. So they aren't sentient. A bunch of tech bros in Silicon Valley haven't actually created a new life form. That's great. But does it matter? Does the algorithmic entertainment dystopia of the future require that the programs producing the content are sentient? I think it does. If they aren't sentient, if they aren't creating their own things and making their own decisions, then these aren't artists. They're tools. Let's revisit those copyright arguments from before. 1. All art is influenced by previous artworks. Artists learn by copying, so do the machines. 2. You can't own an art style. With our new understanding, you can see the flaw with argument 1, right? Yes, humans learn by copying, but the machines don't. They don't learn. They're programmed. If you remove an artist's artwork from the training data, then it will no longer be able to generate art in that artist's style. The AI is not the artist. The user is the artist, and I know that contradicts a lot of arguments about how AI artists aren't real artists, but stick with me for a second. If we view the AI as a tool, then any image generated with AI tools is by default a derivative work of every single image that was used to train the tool. It's the difference between copying an artist's work by hand and tracing it. You can legally copy an artist's style and sell it, but you cannot trace it. There is a clear and obvious distinction there. AI generation isn't that clear cut, obviously. It's much harder to identify the source material in an AI image than it is with a trace. New legal precedent will need to be set for that, which is why that lawsuit is so important for setting a new standard for what counts as fair use with this new technology. As for the second argument, it's true, but it's a misleading phrasing that also relies on a lack of current legal precedent. Yes, you can't own an art style, but you can own your own name. I can very easily predict a future where any art you generate with a term like "in the style of Sarah Anderson" is automatically flagged as trademark infringement. Because, yes, you can own a style, but if that style can only be recreated by using the artist's name, then clearly they have some form of ownership over it, even if there isn't legal precedent for it yet. I mean, in my opinion, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how this thing's going to turn out. The biggest problem right now is that all of these cases are ongoing, and there's going to be tons of legal issues over the next several years that are going to be litigated to figure out what the future of this technology actually looks like. In the obvious cases, like people taking all of an artist's work, running it through an AI generator and releasing a new generator called Generate New Artwork in this artist style, I really can't see a court ruling against the artist in that case. It just seems really clear-cut to me. But I can't see the future. I don't know, it could go the other way. Courts make bad decisions all the time, and in that scenario, things look pretty bad for artists. There's another legal angle to consider here, one that hasn't really been brought up yet in the mainstream but will most certainly be in the coming years. And that's the inherent biases that these algorithms have based on the people who create them. For example, how is it determined what the AI registers as ugly or pretty? How does it determine hate speech and hate symbols? Should it be allowed to be trained on swastikas, or are we going to ban them all from generating that symbol? Midjourney will not generate porn for you. The developers have specifically not trained it on pornographic or other not safe for work content like gore so that people can't use it for that. But is that ethical? Should they be allowed to make that call? Let me tell you, there's a lot of people who want to use this thing for porn. AI superfans have a tendency to glorify the lack of any political biases that these programs have, but that's obviously not true. The creators can define exactly what biases they have because the system is not alive. It's not making its own decisions. It's doing exactly what they want it to, whatever exactly that may be. I opened this video with a real, actual Reddit post about the superiority of AI art versus meat art. And while I cannot stress enough that comments like that are the outlier, I see that same sentiment through a lot of the arguments that these people make. There is a resentment toward traditional artists baked into a lot of these comments. The idea that art is inherently elitist because not everyone has the skill or the ability to do it. And therefore, AI represents this great and glorious levelling of the playing field, where now everyone is able to express themselves in the way that artists can. Are they wrong? Drawing, writing, composing music, any artistic craft has always been said to be a skill that anyone can learn and perfect if they try hard enough. But is that actually true? Or is that just something we all accept because up until now there's been no alternative? Some people would love nothing more than to draw, but if you don't have hands, or if you don't have the fine motor function to hold a pencil steady, then it's off the table, no matter how hard you try. Some people would love to learn the guitar, but they don't earn enough money to buy one, and they don't have enough time in the day to learn anyway. Is that fair? Maybe not, but unfortunately, I have to conclude that while the idea of everyone getting to be an artist is a romantic notion, AI technology just isn't the solution that they think it is. Other than Rupert's Spider-Man at the start, I've avoided making any commentary on the quality of AI art in this video because in a very real sense, the quality doesn't matter to the discussion we're having. As the tech gets better, as the algorithm gets better at matching symbols, the art it generates is going to look nicer. It can already produce things that look nice, or at the very least look interesting, compelling even, sometimes in a surreal, bizarre way, sometimes in a completely normal way. The thing is though, trying to use these tools as an artist, at least in their current iteration, is immensely frustrating. I'm going to stick with drawing because that's the thing I know. Drawing is all about capturing an image in your mind and transferring it to paper. With a pencil and practice, you can do that, but an AI generator can't read your mind. If you sit and watch the Midjourney Discord feed for a while, you'll see people fighting a constant back and forth with the thing, trying to get it to do exactly what they want from it. But frankly, the system as it exists now is too clunky to fully express yourself with. Words to image is just not enough information, no matter how many words you give it, for it to do exactly what you're imagining. And potentially, like a plate on top of a fork, it simply can't ever do what you want it to do. Will it get better at doing that? Probably. Will it ever become good enough to compete with the images of your own brain? Probably not. Just because the program can create compelling images doesn't mean it can create the right compelling images, the ones that an artist actually wanted it to. I think, somehow, this will end up being the most controversial part of the entire video. I think the people all on board for the algorithmic dystopia have a fundamental misunderstanding both of why people produce art and why people enjoy art. Think for a second about reality TV. It's not possible yet, but I think someday soon it will be possible to fully generate with AI a season of reality television. There'll be no humans involved. It'll all just be algorithmically generated based on thousands and thousands of videos of reality television, and you'll just hit a button and it'll generate a new season of Love Island for you. I think that in that future, people will still watch the real one, that even if the generation is flawless, if you cannot tell just by looking at it that an AI made the entire thing, I think people will still watch the real version. Exactly because of that. Because it's real. Because those are actual people, and we as humans care about actual people more than algorithmically generated ones. It's not logical. A computer would look at the generated version and tell you that it's much more efficient. It's tailored just for you. It's perfect. But we are not logical creatures. We are driven by emotion. And emotionally, we just care more about humans than robots. I can't see the future, but I can see that more and more communities are banning AI art, and I don't think it's just to reduce spam. I think that fundamentally, people care that a person made something. Obviously, I could be completely wrong, and in 5 years this video will look incredibly quaint. I know I have a voice in my head telling me that the future is going to be awful and that I'm doomed. But you know what? That voice is always there, and he's a fucking psychopath who panics about everything. Maybe we should take everything he says with a grain of salt. I don't think this technology is just going to go away. Others have pointed out that it has many similarities to the crypto stuff, but unlike that, this is just so obviously useful. I do think that the current phase of AI art will expire. The text-to-image generators are a fun gimmick, but for anything more than that, they're just too limiting. It's the concept that I don't think is going to go away. Generated images applied in many different ways that I can't even comprehend right now. It's going to be new, it's going to be weird, but it's going to be art that a human made, and it's probably going to be something that we can all analyse.